Hi there. So we have learned about the HTML forms, and now what we will be learning? We will be learning about the name attribute in the input element in HTML. So let's get started. So to do that, let's go to the browser and I want to show you something. It is the example.com. So as you know, this is the example domain and we can just use that for demo purposes. Okay, now what I can do, I can grab this URL, and when we submit the form, as mentioned previously, we were discussing about like, hey, we will be having a backend, and inside of the backend we want to send our data, but currently we do not have any backend. So what I'll do, I want to send the data in this example.com. Okay, now so inside of the action, what I can do, I can just put it something like this. Okay, and method, let's go with get. It doesn't matter for this video. Now this input element in HTML. Okay, so this element has a special attribute which is called name. So it is something like this, name, and equals to, I can do something like this, and for this one let's go with username. So just to denote like, hey, what this input is for, right? And when we will be sending the data to the backend, so backend has to grab the data as well, right? It is not something like magical. There should be some sort of groupings of the data from our front end or from our HTML more specifically, so that inside of the backend, the backend server can get the data from the form and then process the data, right? Now if I save that, nothing happens. Basically nothing happens here. This is quite empty, and again this will not affect our UI. Okay, so if we want to denote the this input inside of the UI, like what this input is for, we will be definitely doing that and learning about that, and most probably inside of the next video. But for this video, what I have done, basically I have put up this name attribute inside of this first input, and it is called username. Now what will happen, this is the first input, and I will say like Indro 777, something like this. And now if I just click on this, see what happens. So inside of the URL, I believe this is a little bit like small to view, so I'll just copy that and I will paste that URL to here, inside somewhere here inside of a comment. So as you can see, we got redirected to the example.com, which was like expected when we submit the form. Now the magical part is, here is our username. So this is the key, and the value is the value which I have entered inside of that particular input. Okay, so this is how we can add the name attribute inside of the input element, and by doing so, when we submit the form, the data which we entered inside of the form is grouped and sent together to the particular form action URL, or in the backend, more simplified version, right? So this is where the data is going, and when the data is going, there is this question mark, and then we have this. Okay, now to point out one thing is that you should not be like doing something like this. The spaces are not allowed inside of the name attribute in the input element. And also, please make sure that the name attribute which you are setting to all of your inputs, please make sure that these name attributes are unique as well, because otherwise when we are grabbing the data, there is no way to identify what data is for what, right? So it has to be unique. Now let's add the name attribute for other inputs as well. So here name, and here email, that will be email. Now let's go here, and then again name, password, and again let's do name, and this will be age for the age, right? So this is our input elements. And now if I go to the, okay, let's go back and go to here and let's refresh once again. So we have the empty slate, and now let's do Indronil one like 777 or Indro 777. Okay, again the next one is for the email, and now I am getting a little bit confused, like, hey, what input is for what? So we will be dealing with that in the next video. But now let's go with indro@google.com. okay, then we have the password, simple password 123456, and for the age we have to enter some number, right? So let's do something like 18. Yeah, okay, so we have filled our form, and now when I click on submit, again this is refreshed, and okay, I don't care about this password, leave me alone. But I will just go with here, Control C, and I will bring your attention to the URL in which we have redirected to. So as you can see, the form action was example.com. So this is the example.com, and then we have the username, which I have entered in row 777. And inside of the email, what you can see is that this email field, okay, let's have something like this. So this email has Indro, I entered @ right? Indro @ google.com. But here we are seeing %40. So basically in the URL bar of the browser, the URL bar do not support like the special characters like the @ symbol and so on and so forth, right? Basically browsers do not understand about that particular like those symbols @ and the special characters. So what it does, basically it converts that to the Unicode character, which is representative of the @ symbol. Okay, you can just have a Google search for that, like, hey, what are the different Unicode characters? If you add some sort of space or something like that, that converts to something different, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we have this email, and after that we have this and symbol, and then we have the password and age. We have the age to 18, set to 18, which is awesome. Now inside of the backend, like the backend server, what it will do, it will search for, like, hey, what is the username inside of this URL? Okay, this is the username and this is the value of that. Then what is the email? This is the value of that. And by the way, many of the backends just convert this %40 to @ anyways, so automatically most of the time, what I have seen. So this is not a big deal. Again, what is the password? Then get the password from this URL, and so on and so forth. I believe you get the idea. So we use the name attribute in the input element inside of the HTML to like label the data which that particular input is for, and the labeling of the data is for the backend, because as you already have seen, like there is no effect inside of the front end, like there is no labeling currently right now what input is for what. So this is what we will be learning up next.